What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to analyze the tape of the New York Giants defensive line and talk about how some of those guys had a really good game against the Seattle Seahawks. Guys like Kayvon Thibodeaux made a ton of really nice plays. Brian Burns absolutely dominated, but more than that, it was Dexter Lawrence that kind of changed this game for the defensive line. And Dexter Lawrence is one of the top 2 or 3 guys at that position, so we kind of expect him to dominate. But generally speaking, the Giants found a lot of success, and we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how Kayvon Thibodeaux almost got home multiple times, and eventually he was able to get home. He was also able to create some sacks with some of the pressures that he had. We'll talk about that as well. But I'm excited for this one. And we'll go ahead and start right away with Thibodeaux because I think this is one of the guys that people thought coming into this year, it's either bust or he proves himself. And Thibodeaux's always kind of flashy, but he's never really been able to put it together. I feel like this season, this guy's done a really good job. He has 16 total pressures up to this point. He has 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. He has multiple run stops and tackles for losses. And I feel like he's definitely coming together. You're going to see him do a pretty good job beating the left tackle on this one. Now, there's going to be pressure on the quarterback from Brian Burns as well as Thibodeaux. The quarterback steps up. He delivers a pretty nice pass. But it's a good job regardless by Thibodeaux. He's going to double hand swipe the tackle here. And with that, he's going to be able to hit the corner on this tackle. And if the quarterback isn't pressured by Brian Burns, he would have been pressured ultimately by Kayvon Thibodeaux. Right? And both guys almost kind of get there at the same time. The quarterback does step up in this one. And then you're going to see the Thibodeaux is going to try to spin back to the inside. That's perfect. That's exactly how you want to do it. Burns obviously ends up getting a little bit closer, but still it's a good snap by Thibodeaux. And although he doesn't get home on this one, you'll see on tape there are so many plays where this guy was beating Charles Cross and he was generating pressure. Right? And if it wasn't him creating a sack, it was him making the quarterback feel uncomfortable. On this play here, you're going to pick up 4 yards. The quarterback does not want to check this down. Right? He doesn't want to get the ball to the running back as quickly as he does. He's looking over here to the left of your screen. And he's going to feel that left tackle coming right back into him. So with that, he knows that he needs to get the ball out. So that's a good job, once again, generating pressure, forcing the quarterback into a situation where he wants to quickly get the ball out. In an ideal world, you get a sack on every single play, but that's just not realistic. NFL teams pay a ton of money to these offensive linemen to protect the quarterback. There's a reason why you'll play 700, 800, 900 snaps in a season and only end up generating 10 sacks in that same season. And sometimes it's not even about you actually getting the sack. Sometimes it's about you helping create the sack. And here's a great example of exactly what I mean. On this play here, you're going to get a play action. The left tackle is going to end up blocking Thibodeaux. Now, keep in mind, you get a play action right away. With the quarterback running back, you're going to loop around the tight end here to the inside as well. And that's going to show a certain type of run, and Thibodeaux is going to slow down in his pass rush. You can see Thibodeaux is going to end up keeping his eyes to the inside. And he's going to make sure that the running back doesn't have the football. As soon as he recognizes it, you'll see him turn into pass rush mode. And essentially with that, he's going to push the left tackle right back into the quarterback. Now, this left tackle here is a pretty good left tackle. In fact, I think across the Seattle Seahawks offensive line, Charles Cross is probably the best offensive lineman that the Seattle Seahawks have this season. You're going to see Thibodeaux do a pretty good job pushing him back into the quarterback. And that's going to force the quarterback off the spot. And you'll see that both Dexter Lawrence as well as the other defensive tackle, they're going to end up getting to the quarterback around the same time. It looks like it was Raheem that ends up getting there about the same time as Dexter Lawrence. And although Kayvon Thibodeaux does not get the credit for the sack, he does get credit for creating the sack. And creating a sack is one of those stats that NFL teams measure. It's a stat that even if you had access to PFF Ultimate as an example, they measure that stat as well, right? It's a very important stat to kind of keep in mind. Creating sacks for other guys to kind of be able to get home is something that you're going to get credit for. And Thibodeaux on this one does a good job being able to help create that. Here's another play where Thibodeaux is going to end up beating the left tackle. And once again, he's going to kind of get home about the same time as Dexter Lawrence is on this one. They probably split the sack on this one. Not 100% sure if everybody will agree with me on that. But just a really good job by Thibodeaux and Dexter Lawrence. Both guys essentially get there at the same time. Now, one of the things you're going to see within this play is Thibodeaux is going to fake a defensive line game. And you'll almost miss it if you don't slow it down. So let's slow this one down a little bit so we can watch it. And we'll zoom in as well. So on this play here, you're going to see that Kayvon Thibodeaux is going to fake himself and he's going to look towards the inside. Right there. Right? He's almost looking like he's going to change direction and potentially jump back to the inside. And a defensive line game would look something like this. So the left tackle is going to naturally grab onto this defensive lineman here. And as soon as he leans into that defensive lineman, Thibodeaux is going to actually end up just jumping back to the outside. That's just a really, really good pass rush move right there. And you'll see that Thibodeaux ends up getting there at about the same time that Dexter Lawrence does. And Dexter Lawrence had a phenomenal game, and we're going to talk about him here in a second. But I do want to show one more play with Thibodeaux. It's just a little bit of pressure, right? Just essentially being able to force the quarterback into a bad pass. To me, one of the things that I really, really appreciate with defensive linemen is guys that can consistently get home, is guys that can consistently get after the quarterback and impact passing plays. You know, I don't expect Thibodeaux all 40 of his plays to make an impactful play. But against the Seattle Seahawks, he had 12 impactful plays. And that's all you can ask for, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, there's quick game where you're not going to get to the quarterback. There's screens, there's quick passes. There's so many things that you're not going to actually get to the quarterback. Maybe it's a slide towards your way. Maybe you get chipped. But making 12 plays when you're pass rushing 40 times is a very, very high rate. And Brian Burns had a slightly higher rate this game. I think he made one or two more plays than what Thibodeaux ended up doing. And we're going to talk about him in a second as well. But let's first talk about Dexter Lawrence a little bit. Because Lawrence had 4 sacks according to Pro Football Focus. Now, of course, I don't know if I would 100% agree that he had 4 sacks. There were some sacks where like him and Thibodeaux got there kind of at the same time. Maybe if you utilized half sacks, which PFF does not do, probably benefit PFF a little bit. But regardless of that, Dexter Lawrence did have a really, really good game. Like, he was absolutely getting after it. So many plays like this right here. And the thing with this play is people don't even recognize or give credit on these type of plays because the pass is ultimately thrown, right? The quarterback's going to get the ball out. But what people don't recognize is the quarterback's going to get the ball out a little bit faster the next time Dexter Lawrence is going up against the center. The next time this passing concept or this play action concept is called, right? The quarterback knows he's going to get the ball out a little bit faster because Dexter Lawrence beats the center so quickly, right? So to me, that's a great job right there by Lawrence to be able to show literally on the game's first play that he's going to pretty much live in the backfield this game. And he definitely did that. There are a ton of plays where Dexter Lawrence was impacting the play specifically against the pass. Here's another one where he's going to end up bringing the quarterback down. This one 100% is a sack for Dexter Lawrence. Just a really, really good job. Of the 4 sacks, I would say there was 2 that were 100% all Lawrence, no questions asked. This was one of them, man. Just beating up on the guy lined up across from you, right? Just being able to get right into him, tossing him to the side, swimming over the top. Just a phenomenal job by Dexter Lawrence. And it came in moments that mattered, right? It came in moments where you want to be able to get to the quarterback, right? 3rd down, 4th down. These are the type of plays that Dexter Lawrence was making, essentially. This one here was a 4th and 3. This was at the end of the game. I think the game was probably already over at this point. But regardless of that, you know, you still get to the quarterback and you still bring the quarterback down. And this is going up against a 3rd-year guard who, I don't think Anthony Bradford's crazy good, but there's some upside with him, right? There's definitely some potential with a guy like Bradford, and Dexter Lawrence absolutely kicks his ass. Now, we've already seen this play here. This was the play in which Kayvon Thibodeaux ends up pushing his guy back. Lawrence ends up kind of getting in there, as well as Raheem Nunez. But again, it's a good job disengaging, right? He gets double teamed on this play, and he's able to beat the double team. He's able to get past those guys. And this is something that I love with the fact that you got a guy like Lawrence, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeaux on a defensive line, because who do you double team? I mean, think about this. You on this play here, the Seattle Seahawks step towards Dexter Lawrence. The center's going to step towards him. Lawrence is going to swim over the top and beat him right away. Swims right over the top and beats him. Then you get the rookie and Phil Haynes to lock in, and you're going to see Dexter Lawrence club him right there. Got the right hand club, swims back over the top, splits the double team. I mean, to me, that's incredible right there, right? But that's the type of player Dexter Lawrence is. That's why he's one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. And I'd probably make the argument that Dexter Lawrence is the hardest defensive lineman to block in the NFL. I know most people are going to give Chris Jones the credit, right? Chris Jones is the best D tackle in the NFL. I don't know if I 100% agree with that. I think there's a chance Dexter Lawrence might actually be the most dominant defensive tackle. The guy's just hard to block. He's hard to stop. And he's an absolute weapon out there. I mean, look at this play right here, right? I mean, look at that. Christian Haynes right here, the right guard of the Seattle Seahawks. I understand he's a rookie, but this guy bullies people for a living. And you don't see a guy like that get bullied that often, right? He's a 2nd or 3rd round pick. He was one of the best guards coming out of college football this past season, but he is no match for a guy like Dexter Lawrence. That's phenomenal right there, man. That's such a dominant rep. And again, this guy is very, very solid. As an overall just dominant player, he is a very, very, very solid. And it's not just that he's physically dominant, because he is. But he has good footwork, he has good quickness, he has good movement. And you generally don't see that at that size, right? You generally don't see a guy as dominant as Dexter Lawrence is. But I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think Dexter Lawrence is the best D tackle in the NFL. The guy's an absolute superstar. But I also want to give some credit to Brian Burns, because I think Brian Burns has kind of been overlooked this season so far. If that exists, right? I don't know if that exists, but I feel like he's definitely been overlooked a little bit. Brian Burns has done a really, really good job getting home. He's been doing a really, really good job generating pressure. And Brian Burns has a legit pass rush plan that I feel like, Kayvon Thibodeaux is still developing it. He's still fine-tuning it. He's still learning all the different moves, right? Like Thibodeaux has a great swipe move, but Brian Burns has a swipe, double hand swipe, cross chop. He has great bend and speed, and he'll hit you with the hezzy move, and he'll jump back to the inside. Brian Burns has a legit pass rush plan, and I think that showed up over and over and over again on tape for the Giants. And I know it hasn't led to the New York Giants absolutely winning football games, but there's going to be a time down the line where it will, right? The movement, the way he's able to get around blocks, this stuff right here, over time is going to allow him to have success, and it's going to allow him to get to the quarterback, right? This is a great job here. You get an offensive tackle that's going to jump set you, and Brian Burns is going to counter by heading towards the inside, jumping to the outside, swiping. And again, I know it doesn't count as a sack, but if the quarterback even thinks twice about not throwing it right away and looks back to the right, he's getting smacked here by Brian Burns. Now, there's been actual plays where Burns has actually gotten home. There have been plays this guy has actually gotten credit for a sack. Here's one of them. You're going to get an 8-yard loss on this one. He does go unblocked, right? But still, he does do a good job being able to generate through kind of what's happening. He understands that the running back doesn't have the football, and he's going to get right to the quarterback. He's going to bring this guy down. Now, this isn't the only time that he's gotten to the quarterback. We've already seen this play as well, but just a really, really good job, right? Dexter Lawrence gets credit for this one. Kayvon Thibodeaux gets credit for this one. Brian Burns is just half a second slow on this. Not even half, like 1/10 of a second slow. And he just ends up getting put behind Dexter Lawrence on this. But just look at the pass rush move. Chop, spin back to the inside. I mean, that right there is absolutely incredible. The pass rush plan that Brian Burns has is very, very, very impressive. And it's leading to this guy actually getting home more often than you guys might realize. There are so many plays where this guy beats the guy right in front of him, and he's forcing the quarterback into a bad pass, right? Or he's forcing the quarterback to want to get the ball out. Right, just look at how quick this is. You have to slow this move down because it's just so quick. That's right. That's incredible right there. He's going to chop with the left hand. He's going to bring the right hand back down. Right, it's almost like a ghost move with the chop with the left hand. And that's pressure right there, right? That's a really, really good job. But again, here's another one as an example. Hezzy to the outside, spin back to the inside once again. And the quarterback's going to get the ball out because of that pressure right there. This play is not designed to go to the running back, right? This is not designed for the quarterback to just straight up check it down. The quarterback here is going to take the ball, one step drop. He's looking. He's trying to make a read. If he doesn't like what he sees, he might come back to the left potentially. But with Brian Burns beating this tackle the way he does, he knows that he's not going to have the time, and he's going to just throw it to the running back. Now, this is usually a play where you pick up 1 yard or so. Obviously, on this one, the running back does do a good job. He's going to end up picking up 9 yards after the catch. The official play goes for 7 yards. He actually caught the ball behind the line of scrimmage. But again, it's Brian Burns generating that pressure. It's Brian Burns is getting home. Play in, play out. The guy's doing a really, really good job. Just so many different pass rush moves by Burns. And I hope this guy gets more credit than what he's getting right now. I think Brian Burns is a legit top 7 defensive end in the NFL. All right, I think he's up there with some of the best guys, the Max Crosbys, the Myles Garretts, the TJ Watts. I think Brian Burns is that caliber of player. He's just not getting the credit he deserves at this point. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys do agree with me that Brian Burns is definitely one of the guys in the NFL that's very, very solid. And of course, also keep an eye on Elijah Chatman as we go forward. He's a guy that I think has a ton of upside because he also has a pretty good pass rush plan. You'll see the rookie defensive lineman here. He's going to actually cross chop the left guard. It's a pretty good job. That's a veteran left guard right there. and Chatman ends up being able to cross chop him, and the cross chop works, right? Look at this, beautiful job. Hezi to the inside, jump to the outside, inside arm lands to the outside arm of the guard, cross chop, pin the back. Phenomenal move right there. And I know this one goes for a touchdown, but that right there is special stuff in my opinion. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.